Hey, I'm Stephanie Forian, and it's Tech Talk time.
Tech Talk, Tech Talk, time to talk tech.
Welcome to my weekly web series on the techniques and technology behind the creative process. In last week's video, which I'll link in the down bar in case you missed it, I talked about breath in the context of singing. Today, I'll be sharing 5 tips on how to optimize your vocal performance when you're sick. And I thought today would be the perfect day to do it because I don't know if you can hear, but I have a cold. Before I begin, I would like to state that this video is not intended as medical advice, and I am not a medical professional. If you're at all concerned about your vocal health, then I would strongly urge you to seek out the help of a trained medical professional. However, as a professional singer, I have had to sing while sick, and so I've learned some tips and tricks that have helped me get through those times when I was given the okay to sing, even though my voice was compromised. Tip number 1 is hydration, hydration, hydration. This is important when you're healthy, but it's even more essential when you're sick, especially if you're taking things like decongestants or allergy medicines that can potentially dry out your vocal tract. Another thing to keep in mind is that alcoholic or caffeinated beverages can also contribute to dehydration, so you may want to limit your intake of these substances when you're ill. Tip number 2 is give your voice enough time to warm up. It often takes a lot longer for a sick voice to hit its sweet spot than a healthy voice, so make sure you take this into account and plan accordingly. Also, be gentle with your voice. You're asking a lot of it in this situation. Tip number 3, change the set to reduce the strain on your voice. Doing things like changing the key of certain songs, changing the order of the set list to make sure that your voice can get breaks after certain challenging songs, or removing 1 or 2 really challenging songs that you know you're not going to be able to hit all the notes to and replacing them with songs that are easier to sing are all viable options that can really help you get through a night or a tour. If you can't change out the songs in the set list, another option is seeing if you can sing certain sections of songs in a different octave, because sometimes when your voice is sick, you can sing differently, so you can try using that to your advantage. And if that doesn't work, you can also try to improvise a little bit by rerouting the melody around those notes that you know you're not going to be able to reach or that you shouldn't be trying to reach. I realize that this is not optimal, especially if you're working in the context of a cover band where your band sings, true to the original versions of the songs, or if you're in a musical where you can't improvise. However, you have to work with what you've got. And the reality is that if you are unable to sing the way you need to in order to meet the constraints of a certain production, then you probably shouldn't be singing. My rule of thumb is when in doubt, sit it out. Tip number 4, ask your bandmates for help. This isn't much use to you if you're a solo artist, but if you're working in a band, you're working in a team. So let them know what you need. For example, if you're a lead singer, you could ask another bandmate to double your parts in sections of songs that you know that you're going to struggle with during the show. If you're a background singer, you might be able to sing in a different octave, or you might even be able to switch parts with another background singer for a night. You just have to make sure that you communicate, especially if you're working in a band with a lot of vocal harmonies. You might even need a quick rehearsal session before the show just to make sure that everybody knows what they're singing. Communication is key. And last but not least, tip number 5, make sure you can clearly hear your voice on stage. When we're congested, our hearing often becomes quite muffled, making it even more difficult than normal to get a great stage mix. But the reality is that the more detail you can hear in your vocals, the less likely you'll be to oversing and add additional strain on your voice. Some ways to improve the mix are to use in-ear monitors because they'll reduce the direct sound from the stage. You'll hear more from the board, and you just have more control over what you're hearing in that situation. However, not everybody can do that, and if you can't, you could try adjusting your stage position to see if you can get less direct sound from the amps. Or if you work in a really considerate band, you could even ask your bandmates to turn down their amps. Just a little bit. I know, how dare I even ask that? I know. I know. And those were my 5 tips for attempting to sing while sick. I hope there was something helpful in there for you. Please feel free to ask me any questions you might have in the comments. If you liked this video, then make sure you give it a thumbs up to let me know, and it helps my channel grow. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe because I upload every week. And as always, thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your time with me today. I hope you have a wonderful week and that I'll see you again soon for some more Tech Talk time.
Bread.